Jason.
Thanks, Chair. I just have, just for your time management purposes, Chair, I've just got two matters which I hope to be able to get through pretty quickly.
Thank you.
In the most recent annual report of the department, it says that ABF achieved 2,182 patrol days, maritime patrol days, which was a 6.6% decrease from the previous year, and 12,691 flying hours, which is a 14% decrease from the year before. What is the reason for that declining maritime surveillance activity?
I may just ask Deputy Commissioner Rendino, Acting Deputy Commissioner Rendino, just join me at the table, Senator. In general, the primary driver for the decrease in aerial surveillance flying hours is crew. The contractors' difficulties in recruiting pilots in particular. And in relation to the Sea Patrol days is a combination of factors relating to the age of the fleet, deep level maintenance, and buyouts in timeframes for deep level maintenance. And again, we're on a campaign to continue to recruit and backfill gaps in our FTE in relation to the fleet. But I might just ask, well, I've been making those high-level comments, Deputy Commissioner Rendino, to add in any other detail for you.
Good afternoon, Senators. Kylie Rendino, Deputy Commissioner, Acting Deputy Commissioner, Australian Border Force. Thank you. So as the Commissioner highlighted, that is correct. There are two reasons why we've had a reduction in patrol days and aerial surveillance. Firstly, crew. We've maintained a steady number of crew over the last 7 years. However, we've had an increasing number of illnesses and sicknesses. Last year, in particular, that meant that we had a shortage of marine crew. We've accelerated over the last 2 years some training initiatives and also recruitment. So we've, over the last 2 years, significantly increased the ability to ramp up for the next 2 to 3 years. Also, the ageing fleet has meant that, apart from aerial surveillance, but also for patrol days, the fleet themselves are ageing. So we've had some depot level maintenance and enduring days that weren't foreshadowed, and what we're seeing is that that's resulting in some additional assets not being available.
What's the consequence of the reduction in flying hours? What does it mean for our border security?
It means that in general, through Maritime Border Command, and this is why obviously it's a task force between the ADF, ABF and others, that we would probably ask through the Rear Admiral, who's here, for support from Defence to get Defence assets to supplement our aerial surveillance.
So are you basically saying that even if ABF is not able to complete what it sees as the necessary amount of surveillance, that will be supplemented by Defence such that there's no gaps in coverage, there's no vulnerabilities that are opened up?
Indeed, and I may ask actually the Rear Admiral just to come forward if I could, just to explain how. And this is the benefit of having a Rear Admiral working in the ABF, because obviously that's the purpose of the task force approach.
Yep.
Senator, there's a number of ways we can mitigate the risk that you refer to. One, of course, is using supplementation from Defence assets. When required, I can call on additional assets from Defence through Joint Operations Command. The other is just the actual way in which we posture and where we dedicate our surveillance, which I would characterise as just a risk management approach to the problem set.
Yep.
So there are ways to mitigate.
Okay. And so is it your evidence that it is being adequately mitigated, that at the moment that we have the coverage that we need?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Thank you. Looking forward, if these trends were to continue, the assets aren't going to get any younger and the recruitment, I imagine, is not going to get any easier, what are the plans to arrest this kind of trend and turn it around to make sure it doesn't happen again?
ABF, Department of Home Affairs, Defence and other central agencies are in conversations about the capability going forwards. I haven't got any immediate solutions other than to highlight that with an ageing fleet and an aerial surveillance contract coming to end of life in 2027, clearly we need a plan going forwards, and that's being worked on as we speak.
Is it necessary, in your view, for these flights to be crewed flights? Could uncrewed flights be a potential solution?
In the longer term, probably not, Senator. I think the way that technologies are emerging, possibly not. But right here, if we were to swap out to tomorrow, are there similar technologies available at a similar cost with similar maturity? My sense is that you'd probably start with more of a blended capability and in time move more to autonomous capabilities. That's the sense I have. But initially, I think to manage the risk of a transition to new technologies, we'd want a high level of assurance about its ability and maturity to deliver against the mission set.
So those assets that do need to be replaced, and I think, understand your evidence 2027 is a key point, it's likely that we will replace them with other assets that will be crewed at that point. Will be continuing crewed role from 2027?
I think initially, Senator, my sense is more likely than not some of those assets will be crewed.
Are you close to putting in a proposal to government to the kind of assets that the Commonwealth's going to need to purchase?
Yeah, we're actually out in the market now for requests for expression of interest. So that closes in December. So it'd be interesting to see what industry comes back with in terms of the expression of interest, and that, of course, will inform decisions going forwards.
Do you have a budget in mind of what you're going to be able to spend?
At this point, it's probably too early to say. Clearly, we know what we're spending now, which is quite a significant sum of money. In general terms, our surface assets and aerial surveillance asset in combination, the whole effort from the ABF is about, and I can get exact figures for you, it's up this year to about 460 million.
Are we getting any discount currently from the fact that we're not fulfilling the hours that we're supposed to? Do we pay any less for the service given that we're not meeting the hours?
So there is in terms of the contract, there are performance requirements and there's a performance framework within the contract, and we are taking action in relation to the performance elements of the contract.
So you expect we'll be compensated in some way?
Indeed, there are abatements under the contract.
Yep. And then just finally on this matter, is there some kind of cost recovery at Defence's end when they have to step in and provide additional support for this?
Considering the expense of defence assets when we deploy them, I'm pleased to say no. However, clearly that's why we have to minimise, as the Rear Admiral said, as far as possible, our ask of Defence, because their assets tend to be a higher level of capability than we actually require for our mission set.
Sure. Okay.